Just looking out of the window, watching the asphalt grow, thinking how it all looks hand-me-down.
How do you know the words to Good Times?
You know I'm black on the inside.
Oh, hell no. No. Andrew's little brother does not get the pass. Does not get the pass because he knows the words to the Good Time. Don Lemon is not the spokesperson for black people. No. I know a lot of people that can sing Good Times. And I know a lot of white people that can sing Good Times. Don Lemon doesn't get to put his buddy on TV and start getting him the black pass. The black pass. Because he knows Good Times. You know what they're trying to do is they're trying to clean up Chris's trying to clean up the line between Chris and his brother, from CNN reporter to knucklehead governor of New York. Hello, I'm back. Hello, and hello. I am back. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I've got a few things going on in the life of the A to Jet Noise household that have been keeping me from consistently being able to put together some sort of programming. Mostly my son who is handicapped, was going through some issues dating back to Thanksgiving, and I tried to do some shows and partially put some things together, and was able to share some of what I see in the news with you guys. But for the most part, there was a lull. We'll just call it a lull. With me going family first. So you have to pardon me. You have to excuse me. I saw that I was picking up a few more followers on Rumble, and I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. That means you guys are just going back to the old videos and checking me out there, and found me at least entertaining enough to want to maybe challenge me, or maybe follow along, maybe an alternative to what you guys are seeing on your television sets as far as getting news or what have you. Again, I really genuinely appreciate that. It has been an interesting road, and I'm going to have to explain it to my Rumble and Facebook followers as I do to with my friends and family. I did a couple of personal videos on my personal account on Facebook, and was explaining exactly what was going on with my son. Excuse me. And it's if you ever heard of a condition, it's called Lowe syndrome. It's spelled just like the hardware store, Lowe syndrome. And some of the things that the first, just to be quick about it, the first thing that would affected him back in around Thanksgiving didn't really necessarily have to do anything with his Lowe syndrome, but since he has the Lowe syndrome, it made it tougher for him to deal with. So, like I said, I'm gonna have to break down and invite you guys as my Rumble family to and let you in on what my son's situation is. But thank you again for being patient. And hopefully I can get this going again consistently, and maybe we can tackle the world together. That was Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon. Oh, A to Jet Noise. Catch me on Facebook. Catch me on rumble.com. A to Jet Noise and Rumble. And A to Jet Noise on Facebook. ADA Jet Noise. And I genuinely appreciate you guys being with me. And I hope that we can do good things together. And maybe bring back a country that is respectful to not only itself, to the rest of the world, and we could all appreciate what this country has to offer. But until then, we have the madness that is the world today. Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon, you know, considering what Chris Cuomo's brother's going through right now, I could see where he'd want to distance himself. And they're trying to give him the clean-cut image, the truth teller, as he would, I'm sure he would like to call himself, the truth teller and kind person, worldly confidant to the rest of the world, when in fact you are just another Cuomo, my friend. You are indeed just another Cuomo, and that is not a good position to be in right now. But that's neither here nor there, because there's plenty to talk about. There's plenty to talk about when it comes to the Cuomo, the douche that is Cuomo. This is like 10 pages of the timeline that Andrew Cuomo, of the debacle that Andrew Cuomo put New York through, the dare I say murderous effort that Andrew Cuomo put his state through. It is no short of criminal what he did. And this is a timeline. Several dates, several things where his professionals had quit because they were telling him, hey, this needs to be done, and he's just turning them down. He's just being rude to them. We're going to go over this timeline, not today, but soon. You might even be tired of it. But I dare I say that the girls, the ladies that are coming out against him right now, as far as being a horrible man to women, he welcomes that. I can guarantee he is welcoming all this sex scandal stuff. Because the sex scandal stuff is just like everyone else, the Bill Clintons and you name it. The Weinsteins, you name it. The sex scandals are just the same. They always come out on top. These guys always come out on top. They just fight them, deny them, lie about them, and they always come out on top. They get away with it. Is Weinstein in jail? Sure. But how long did it take to get him in prison? Bill Cosby, the same thing. How long did it take to get those guys in prison? They just got away with it and got away with it and got away with it. And quite frankly, the Cuomo stuff is nowhere near what I heard from the people like the Cosby situation and the Weinstein situation. So he does indeed deserve, just like they did, his day in court, his due process, if you will. But Cuomo, his real problem, his real situation is that he is a terrible, terrible person. He's a terrible person. And he killed a lot of elderly people in the state of New York. Does that sound harsh? Fine. But look at the timeline. Look at the timeline. It's hard to disagree. It's hard to disagree. Meanwhile, on the border, we got triple the number of immigrant children that have hit the border, and no one seems to care enough. No one seems to care enough. Now that they're asking questions, they are asking questions. The media is asking questions, but the president doesn't necessarily have to answer them. The other day, he was in a store, wasn't he? And a gaggle of reporters were asking him questions about they were screaming out, Mr. President, is there a border crisis? Mr. President, there's a border crisis. And this was the only response that he had for them.
World War II, where Roosevelt came up with a thing that was totally different than he called it the World War II. He had the War Production Board.
I think that was the wrong clip. I think it was. I can't really tell anymore. But look, Biden. Here. Let's go over some of the details of what's going on here. New details are coming into light about President Joe Biden's response to the growing migrant crisis at the border, particularly in how the administration is handling the surge of the unaccompanied minors. According to the news reports, Biden administration is housing children in facilities akin to jails. Now, if you haven't seen these are actually shipping containers. Shipping containers. They have the tail doors, the tailgate doors, the two swinging doors. If you've ever seen a shipping container, the end of the container will have two doors that open, kind of like French doors kind of thing. So they have those doors. They have a man door near the middle of the container, and then they have windows with bars, metal bars on them. Okay, we went from children in cages. We're actually where they were behind fences, in facilities behind fences, separated from adults, separated from any harm at that point, or for minimal harm. We'll say minimal harm at that point. So the kids were together behind fences. You call them cages if you need to, but that was before. Now they're in shipping containers. And 2 weeks ago, Jen Psaki, who is been nothing short of remarkable, Jen Psaki said that the shipping containers, the way they needed more shipping containers so that they can 50% capacity them. So that was my crude way of saying they're going to put half the amount of kids that would normally go into a metal shipping container. They're only going to put half of that that capacity in each shipping container. That's why you need more containers. You have to keep them safe. COVID. That's what Psaki said. That's what Jen Psaki said. Psaki. P-sake. So, and just recently, they decided they're going to put them at 100% capacity. Let's read on. According to the news reports, Biden's administration is housing children in facilities akin to jails and even separate families. According to the New York Times, thousands of migrant children have been placed in detention facilities that are comparable to jails. And many are being held there for more time permitted than by the law. Than by the law. All right. So they're even being held longer. Now there's a reason for that. The number of unaccompanied migrant children detained along the southern border has tripled in the last 2 weeks. Tripled in the last 2 weeks. More than 3,250 filing facilities akin to 3,250 migrant children, filing facilities akin to jails as Biden administration struggles to find room for them in shelters. According to the documents obtained by the New York Times, more than 1,360 of the children have been detained beyond the 72-hour permitted by law before a child must be transferred to a shelter, according to one of the documents dated on March 8th. Now, there's an easy way to find room for these children, and that is, don't let these people cross this border illegally. By all means, you want to come here. The process of getting here is fantastic. Unfortunately for these children, they're being dragged across this border, and not by their parents. Not by the parents. Under the law, the federal government is required to move accompanied children within 3 days from the border facility to shelters managed by the Department of Health and Human Services, where they are held until they are placed with a sponsor. Homeland Security officials have often pointed to the delays of Health and Human Services in picking up the children as a reason for prolonged detention. So at this point, the border guard have now been tripled on their babysitting duties. Their babysitting duties have now been tripled. Meanwhile, the USA Today reported that Biden's administration is separating children from their family members for weeks on end. Wasn't that literally all of this? Was literally in the campaign plan. It's literally like one of the top complaints they had about the Trump administration. And the voters were right along with it. Right? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez down at the border in her fashionable white little outfit, in dark little boots, brown, black, whatever. In the sobbing, the bending over and holding of the face, because there's children behind cages. They're being separated from their families. They were separated from their families long before they got here. Long before they got the human trafficking, using children to get people across the border is, you guys don't understand. You have no idea. You have no idea. If you don't know by now that most of these children are used by strangers to get across the border, then they get separated. The kids get left in their cages or containers. Or now the administration is calling them reception centers. Reception centers. I think Amazon has reception centers for socks and batteries and boxes of coffee. Meanwhile, or I should say, excuse me. And despite the coronavirus concerns, the Biden administration is filling migrant detention centers at 100% capacity. I just said. So all those containers that Psaki said was so that they can take the children and spread them out because you don't want them to be on top of each other. There is I need to find that clip where she kind of, you don't want them to be endangered, do you? Coronavirus. You don't want that, huh? the idea that she has the gall to talk down to people when everyone knows exactly what's going on says a lot about her. Indeed, it says a lot about her. But I can't blame it all on her because my understanding, the Psaki doesn't even get to talk to the president. She doesn't even get to talk to the president. They give her like some talking points. They give her some weak, generic answers. She's got to look over them, and hopefully she can match up someone's questions to the crap that they give her on paper. So Psaki, look, Jen, if you're willing to go along with this, then that it really is. It's all on you. Not having the information, I can give you a pass on that. But if you're willing to just go along with this, that means you're just willing to lie to the public. So that's on you, Psaki. Claims of kids in cages and news of child separation dominated news headlines and Democratic rhetoric in 2018, as President Donald Trump faced his own migrant crisis. Now, however, the media is working overtime to spin Biden's current policies as different from Trump's, which they are. If you go on CNN or MSNBC, they're and the here, look. The procedure, which is different from the highly controversial Trump administration policy of separating immigrant parents from their children, is designed to protect minors from human traffickers and grant them legal protections. But immigration advocates admit that the reality of the children migrants is very similar. Because it is. They may have as well just said it's different because we're Democrats. That I would have respected. It's far different, even though we have 3 times and we're going to expect like 6 times the amount of children by the summer that got in here when the Trump administration was in office. We're expecting like 6 times that by this summer. And we're going to stack them in shipping containers behind fences, cages, if you will. We're just going to shove them all in shipping containers. We really don't care what happens as far as what diseases come over. That's another one. That's diseases that come over. I'll touch on something like that in a little bit. So they're just going to take all these kids, separate them from their parents, stuff them in boxes behind cages, and the only difference is, other than there being far more children locked up away from adults, from their actual adults, from their parents. The only difference, other than that, is that the current administration is Democrat. If they would have said that, I would have had more respect for that. It would have been stupid. But that's actually what the difference is, right? Because now your friends and family aren't, that hated Trump. They're not complaining about what's going on at the border. They're not complaining. They don't care. Because everything is perfect now because they're Democrat. A Democrat's handling it. They handle it better. Sounds the same. Worse. Where do we turn? Because we know the reality, right? We know the reality of what's going on. But no one's willing to admit they're at fault. Chew on that one. This is an interesting one. Alexei Makaman, the once reporter who called out NBA legend Charles Barkley, she called him out by tweeting, quote, this is the tweet, "Just FYI, Charles Barkley told me tonight, I don't hit women, but if I did, I would hit you." The tweet continues. And then when I objected to that, he told me I couldn't take a joke. That joke came after McCammon, Alexei McCammon, confronted Barkley for saying he supported former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick in his late run for the White House before abruptly changing his mind once approached by a member of Pete Buttigieg's you said Pete Buttigieg's campaign. All right, so I think it's safe to assume that McCammon, who looks, by all intents and purposes, she looks mixed race, very brown skin, adorable young lady. She's 27 years old, and she is in her own. I think it's safe to say that she came after Barkley because the candidate that she wanted him to go for was black, and instead Barkley chose the gay candidate. All right, and I can say that. I can make that assumption because now McCammon's is in her own little bit of her own little sticky situation. McCammon is now the senior editor of Teen Vogue. Has herself been called out by her staffers, who are saying some of her past posts, again tweets, were both racist and homophobic, and are now calling for Teen Vogue's parent company, Condé Nast, to reform its hiring process. Not get rid of her. We're not going to cancel her because, well, she's one of us, right? She's progressive. She's Marxist. 27-year-old McCammon's staffers privately expressed concerns to the company's global chief content officer, Anna Wintour, as well as the CEO, Roger Lynch. Two fairly big names. In a joint statement shared on the social media that staff wrote, this is what they wrote. As more than 20 members of the staff of Teen Vogue, we've built our outlets' reputations as we've built our outlets. I see. They're talking about the magazine itself. Our outlets' a reputation as a voice for justice and change. We take immense pride in our work in creating inclusive and an inclusive environment. The letter continued. That's why we have written a letter to management of Condé Nast about the recent hire of Alexei McCammon. Her name's harder to say than I thought. McCammon as our new editor-in-chief in light of her past racist, homophobic tweets. We have heard the concerns of our readers, and we stand with you in a moment of historically high anti-Asian violence and amid the ongoing struggles of the LGBTQ community. We, as the staff of Teen Vogue, fully reject these sentiments. We are hopeful that an internal conversation will prove fruitful in maintaining the integrity granted to us by our audience. Why the backlash? Well, McCammon's tweets. These were McCammon's tweets. This is why the staff is concerned about Miss McCammon, their new chief editor. She wrote, non-Googling, quote, this is a tweet, quote, non-Googling, now Googling how to not wake up with swollen Asian eyes. I'll repeat that. Now Googling how to not wake up with swollen Asian eyes. End of tweet. Then there was another tweet. This is a quote. Give me 2 out of 10 on my chem problem. Cross out all my work and don't explain what I did wrong. Thanks a lot, you stupid Asian TA. You're great. Should I read that again? Give me 2 out of 10 on my, this is quote, tweet. Give me 2 out of 10 on my chem problem. Cross out all of my work and don't explain what I did wrong. Thanks a lot, stupid Asian TA. You're great. Those were the 2 tweets. Especially in today's day and age, those they sound problematic. At least at minimum problematic, right? At minimum problematic. Both tweets happened in 2011. She was 16. She was 16. Now, it is the age of cancel culture. And if you pooped your diaper 41 years ago and it's on the internet somehow, a picture of it is on the internet somehow, someone will come after you with your poopy diaper picture. Macaman responded, I'm heartbroken. Now, here's where this particular story got incredibly interesting to me. In a world, the world that we're in now, Macaman is clearly, when you understand her history, she's clearly all about the cancel culture. She would have come barreling down on anyone caught up in the same situation. But Macaman responded to her staff, to her company, and to the rest of the world, to the magazine reading world, the Teen Vogue audience. I'm heartbroken by the nasty quote. I'm heartbroken by the nasty vitriol some of you have experienced in the wake of this situation. Now, let me explain that. Her staffers, the reason they wrote this, the staffers wrote in the first place, because they probably knew about the stuff anyway, but didn't really care. But their viewers, their readers were coming after them about these particular tweets, which sound, derogatory towards Asians, or can be made to sound derogatory towards Asians. So their readers were coming after the staffers, complaining, and the staffers wrote the letter of concern to the top officials at Condé Nast, Wintour, and Rogers. So again, I'll start McCammon's response. I'm heartbroken by the nasty vitriol some of you have experienced in the wake of this situation. It is completely unacceptable, but as we navigate through this together, what matters to me is crushing the work we do. The letter continues, my number one mission in leading you through this next chapter is to make you all feel more confident, comfortable, and fearless in your storytelling and the boundaries we can push together as a team. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all for this opportunity and sticking with me. Did anyone notice an apology of any kind? Because they obviously make everyone else apologize, right? But in this, she doesn't even skim over what the issue is. This letter is generic. Anyone could represent this letter in almost any situation to try to get themselves out of trouble. What a heartless crappy letter. Now, granted, she was 16 when she wrote stupid stuff about Asian people, right? Things, again, can be considered derogatory towards Asian people. And right now, there is they're selling the narrative that everyone's being mean to Asian people, which, quite frankly, there are some videos out right now that it's hard to disprove it. Right? I just saw a video of a young lady walking through Germany. She's South Korean. And as she's walking down the street, two like random people like throw a punch at her. They don't necessarily make any big connection, but in the first part of the first video, the young lady is some guy throws a punch and she starts crying because it's scary. You're a young girl walking down the street and some stranger throws a punch. They didn't necessarily connect, but they threw a punch. All right, so she's walking with her phone because she's experienced this. She's been experiencing this situation, staying in Germany, where people are not necessarily being nice to her. And now she's South Korean, but they're blaming her because of her appearance. They're assuming that she's Chinese and everybody's mad. Apparently, everybody's mad at the Chinese. Why? I have no idea. The Chinese have nothing to do with the Wuhan flu, right? Their government, certainly. The Chinese walking down your street, chances are they didn't want anything to do with the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist government either. So they're walking down your street. So how can you blame them when you have no idea? If maybe they worked in the Wuhan lab. You don't know that. Maybe they were part of the Chinese Communist government. You don't know that. What you do know is that there's somebody walking down your street. And if you're in Germany, Oakland, Iceland, Toronto, the Chinese person walking down the street, again, if they're walking down your street, the chances are they didn't want to be in China because China's government is the issue. Pardon me. So why throw punches at the young lady? And then there's the elderly gentleman that got pushed down in Oakland by just some thug just randomly pushes an elderly Asian gentleman, boom, onto the ground. So there is a video and there is a narrative right now in the news that Asian people are being abused. And if you're selling that, their staffers, Teen Vogue staffers, can get a little edgy. Considering the situation with their newfound chief editor, Miss McCammond. But yet, her letter, no apology in it. I didn't see any apology at all. Just a week ago, the Biden administration, this is still the McCammond story, the Biden administration accepted the resignation of T.J. Ducklow for threatening reporters. How is this still that McCammond story? T.J. Ducklow is McCammond's boyfriend. All right? So she's showing some aggressive nature. Granted, it's about 11 years old. Some aggressive nature towards Asians. And he's showing aggressive nature towards reporters. So I could just imagine their pillow talk, probably hour-long conversations about Andy No. That's a clever joke. I'm actually kind of proud of that. On a strange but true note, if I can get a little racist here, Alexei McAman, Ilhan Omar, AOC, Don Lemon, Kamala Harris, for a bunch of people that blame everything on, the evil white man, it seems that the Mars bars are selling faster than the Snickers in their world. Can't do it without Whitey. I understand. Hey. Speaking of can't do it without Whitey, Chirlane McCray. Chirlane McCray, wife of far-left New York City Mayor Billy de Blasio. This is Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio, if anyone is happy that Cuomo's going what he's going through, it's Bill de Blasio. Because no one could out-douche Bill de Blasio until Andrew Cuomo's real life started surfacing. Chirlane McCray, de Blasio's wife, is urging residents to physically intervene when they witness violent crimes take place. Oh dear, this is a fun story. We're asking New Yorkers, she wrote, we're asking New Yorkers to show up with their neighbors, to show up for their neighbors, and intervene when witnessing a hateful violence or harassment. I know that can be frightening when you aren't sure what to do or say, but you can learn. So Ms. McCray, Mrs. McCray, Mrs. de Blasio, Ms. McCray has decided that the good thing for citizens to do is when they see a violent crime, like let's say a young crazy man off his medications threatening his entire family with a butcher knife and a baseball bat, that the neighbors should run over and intervene. Okay, that you would say that's a far scenario, but what is the alternative? Well, let's read on. McCray proposed a five-step directive on how to get this done. Yes, the fifth being respond directly to the aggressor or physically intervene on only after assessing the situation. All right, I'm going to read that one again because this is incredibly important. The fifth directive. So there's 5 steps, none of them important because all of the first 4 steps lead you to this. Respond directly to the aggressor or physically intervene, and only after assessing the situation. The common citizen is now going to have to assess. She wants them to now assess the situation. Is that guy stabbing that old man and taking his money? In broad daylight. I think I should go over there and get in a physical fight with that guy because I've come to the conclusion that he is using that kitchen knife, that huge kitchen knife, to hack this little old man apart and take his wallet. And I think that's wrong. So I'm going to go over there and I'm going to physically fight this man. because it's the right thing to do. Citizens arrest! Citizens arrest! Yeah, so she wants you to assess the situation before you get in there and get your neck cut open, or before you get shot in the chest. So please assess the situation before you physically intervene with the criminal. Much like all the videos that we see in New York. Look, look, she's asking New Yorkers to physically intervene with criminals and their criminal activity. There was recently, I don't think it's 2 weeks old, the video of the young woman crying because she got into a back and forth with some elderly lady, right? She got into a back and forth with some elderly lady. I don't know about social distancing or about you should let me sit there. God knows, it's New York. So she gets in this back and forth, and then this lady gets physical. She's riled up. She's not all there. She starts throwing punches. Now, the young lady that was crying in the video was explaining, they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. That the people riding the subway in New York on that particular car didn't do anything. She started throwing punches, and the lady was hitting the elderly lady was punching the lady that's crying, punching her 2-year-old. The old lady is punching the girl's 2-year-old, and no one did anything. And then last week, I'm watching a video in broad daylight, a person beating a man with an aluminum bat in the middle of the street in broad daylight as people are just walking by. And it wasn't like two people. It wasn't like a couple like, don't get involved, honey. It wasn't like that. It was like people on both sides of the street, cars going by, people walking by. This person is beating this person with an aluminum bat. And all anyone can take as to why this was happening was because the person that was getting beat was riding their bicycle down the street. So this person with the bat is walking through New York with an aluminum bat. Hits a bike rider, a cyclist, not even a cyclist. It was someone that was riding a bike, probably on their way to work, probably on their way to the store. I believe the victim was like 50-some odd years old. Is getting beat by an aluminum bat. I saw like 12 swings as people are walking by in broad daylight. This is who's Mrs. de Blasio, Shirley McCray. This is who she's asking to get involved with stopping criminal activity. Some of the best people I know cannot get involved, physically involved, in intervening. They can make a phone call, but who are you going to make a phone call to? Right? Think about that. Who would you call to try to stop a crime? Let's make note that McCray's appeal comes in the middle of the spike in violent crime, in particular against the Asian community. Back to the spike in crime in the Asian community, particularly in New York, one of which was a stabbing death. Remember, she wants you to step in and help stop violent crime. She said that. She wants you to help stop violent crime. in the middle of the spike of crime against Asian people in New York, one of which was the stabbing death of 46-year-old Young Zing, a husband and father, after he intervened in a Brooklyn robbery back in February. whatever, Mrs. de Blasio wants the New Yorkers to physically intervene in violent crimes, to step up for their neighbors, which valiant, noble, God bless you if you can. If you do. This man, who was willing to actually intervene, is dead now. For doing what McRae is asking her citizens to do. Now get this. McRae last June influenced her husband to shift funds from the New York City Police Department, $6 billion. She decided to take some of that money and put it into youth initiatives and social services. She convinced her husband, which I'm sure didn't take much, to take some of the $6 billion that's allocated towards the New York police, which they need 5 times that much, and decided to put it in youth services. It's as if New York could hire, I don't know, like they can hire like professionals to intervene. Huh? That's a pretty good idea, huh? They could like literally hire like a group of people that would intervene with like crime. I don't know, call them like crime interventions, the crime intervention squad, or like street judges. I don't know. Those names aren't that good. But if you come up with a name that New York can use, and maybe put a plan together where they can like get professional, like they can train and make professionals of people that would intervene with crime. You know, you might be onto something. I would send that over to de Blasio. Don't send it to Cuomo because God knows where he'll be in a few months. But send that idea of a bunch of professional people that they can like put together as a group and get them like equipment and resources, and they can step in when crimes happen. You know. Let's help New York with that. Samuel Paty. Samuel Paty is a history teacher in West Paris. I did this story last year, late last year. Paty was beheaded last October by an 18-year-old Chechen Muslim refugee named Abdulaka Anzorov. Abdulaka Anzorov. After controversy erupted over his alleged anti-Muslim classroom, this is Paty's alleged anti-Muslim classroom presentation during a lesson on free speech. All right, so Samuel Paty, this teacher, was beheaded because of alleged anti-Muslim classroom presentation. A 13-year-old student whose identity has been protected reportedly told her father that Paty showed degrading images of the Muslim prophet Muhammad in class. After learning of Pati's alleged behavior, the student's father filed a legal complaint and launched an internet campaign, against the teacher, slamming Pati in Facebook and YouTube videos uploads, claiming that the teacher showed cartoons of Muhammad with his genitals exposed. So this guy just went completely ballistic. Now we understand that there are some Muslim extremists who will do this. This isn't new. This isn't any surprise. They like to protect Muhammad. The campaign set off a firestorm in the Muslim world. So Muslims from all around the world they weren't happy, fomenting widespread anger towards Pati. So this poor teacher has he's got a target on his head now, or had a target on his head, who was murdered a mere 10 days after the accusations were first made. In addition to resulting in Pati's murder, the accusations also sparked violent riots across the country that led to the deaths of at least 3 other people. 3 innocent people, along with Pati, are now dead. Violent riots, property destruction, you name it. You name it. All of this happened because Pati allegedly was teaching anti-Muslim stuff, anti-Muhammad stuff. But now, the 13-year-old girl that made the accusations reportedly confessed to the police that she lied. The girl's lawyer confirmed on Monday that her client was not even in the attendance in the class during which she alleged the incident took place. According to the French newspaper Le Parisien, Parisian, sorry. Le Parisien, the girl lied to her father to keep him from knowing that she had been suspended by the school for cutting class. 4 people are dead, murdered. Pardon me. 5 people are dead because the guy that killed Pati, the teacher, he's dead. So 5 people are dead. That terrorist guy that killed Pati didn't have to lose his mind. 1, shouldn't have never lost his mind. 2, didn't have to lose his mind because it never happened. 4 innocent people are dead, murdered, because a 13-year-old girl is too afraid to tell her idiot father, who apparently has her so scared that she can't say, hey, Dad, I was suspended. I'm a dink. I'm ready to take my punishment. No, she couldn't. She was not strong enough. She's 13. To go to her father, the idiot, that, again, has her scared enough to where she can't tell him, Dad, I was suspended for doing something stupid. Because I'm stupid. I'm 13. 4 people are dead. 1 man beheaded. 5 people dead. 4 innocent. 1 man beheaded. On a 13-year-old's lie. Where are we going? Where are we going? And back to the border. Now, this isn't a direct story from the border, but there is a connection. There is a loose connection that we should all be concerned with. I'll do the story first. There are outbreaks of Ebola in the Congo and Guinea. We also know that 60% of the groups of 25,000 illegal aliens at the U.S. border came from Africa. %60 of a group that crossed the U.S. border came from Africa. And Ebola is in the Congo and Guinea. Now, why do I bring this up? Because on Monday, March 8th, 2021, police were called to meet a city transit bus for a sick man. They arrived on the scene, and the man was vomiting blood. The gentleman revealed that he had just arrived from the Congo. The man was reportedly transported by the ambulance to the local hospital in Pittsburgh. No info on which hospital. Later in the day, the cops reported that they were ordered not to talk to the media or even to their wives about what happened with the gentleman throwing up blood on the bus. Again, a group that crossed the border recently, 60% of 25,000 of that group were from Africa. Iranians are crossing our borders. People from the Congo, people from Guinea, people from Africa in general are crossing our borders. And no one's doing anything about it except setting up shipping containers to keep children in. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. So you guys tell me. You guys tell me. Which one's better? The Chick-fil-A sandwich or the Popeye's chicken sandwich? You guys tell me which one's better. I am through. I'm so thrilled to be back in front of the camera because hams need a camera. You see, I got my WandaVision. Oh, this is the only thing that's going good right now. WandaVision, what an incredible show. Apparently, I can't depend on The Mandalorian anymore because everyone on The Mandalorian apparently hates conservatives. Love you, Gina Carano. Wishing you well. And I got a strange feeling that somehow Cara Dune will be back. And there's only one character, there's only one person that can play Cara Dune. I do have a strange feeling that Cara Dune will be back. I do. But anyway, I am done. I appreciate you guys. for joining me today on my first day back in a really long time. Again, I'm going to have to explain to you guys what exactly was going on with my son. And this way you guys won't be angry with me when I'm missing. But I'm trying to work it out to where I can get these things done with or without him, because there is times in the day where I can take this time for me and put together a show and share my experiences and my findings with all of you. A to Jet Noise, Facebook, Rumble, MeWe, Parlor, eventually back on Parlor. A to Jet Noise, thank you for joining me again today. And again, like I said, I want to be with you guys doing this little program for you guys and give you some water cooler talk, some information, some news. But I'm going to leave you with that. I did a nice long show. I could have done a lot more, which kind of makes me feel good too. So again, one of my favorite things about all this is that I'm learning how to do this right in front of you guys, and hopefully we can grow together. Ask me anything you want. Cuss me out. Inform me. Correct me. I don't have to be right. I just need to start the conversation. So, by all means, come at me with all your good stuff and all your bad stuff too. Until then, be good. Be still. Big hug. Enjoy your life.